Hey guys, thanks for popping in back over here at the channel. This is going to be segment 3 of the walk around of a precision optic, or the kind of going through the features and the setup of an Arken optic, or really any precision optic if you're new to using this type of equipment. If you haven't checked out the first couple episodes, I suggest maybe go do that. If you're new to this, I covered setting up the ocular focus as well as setting up your parallax. That is leading us to number 3 today. And what we're going to talk about is using your turrets. I'm going to start out specifically, get my old venerable EP5 here. We're going to talk about setting up your elevation turret first. I kind of went through a quick run around that I like people to do before you take a shot. Now this is something, again, that you're just going to do really fast, and is something that you're making sure that all the components of your optic are in place before you pull that trigger. Again, I mentioned you're looking at your optic kind of like a clock, and you're checking all of the boxes really fast, that you've made all your adjustments and everything is all set, everything is accurate and ready to go before you squeeze that round off. And with that, we are at the turret. So when you've got your new precision optic, you've got your Arken EP5 or EPL4, the new LH4, you are going to have the option to get these things in mil or MOA. And without getting into the advantages or disadvantages of each of those different kind of platforms, I'll leave you to kind of do some research on that. I'm just going to talk a bit about what this turret is going to do with those setups, okay? All right, let's get right at this. This is a mil optic here. I do have a EP8 that's set up in MOA because, well, they don't make that in mil yet, or maybe ever. But this is a mil one, and you can tell really in first glance the difference between an Arken mil and an Arken MOA simply by looking at the numbers going around your turrets. The MOA are going to have many more numbers, much smaller, tighter spacing going around than your mil. So when you look at these and you see the great big old numbers and the big gaps between them, you know you're looking at a mil optic. Now, get this set back on here. I've been fooling around using this thing. So I have this on a 0. Now, simply put, what a mil optic is going to do at 100 yards, all right, from this 0 to the 1, I think I got that on the 1, from 0 to 1 is going to be 3.6 inches, okay? That is the difference at 100 yards. Now, if we come back and you go to 50 yards, it's going to be half that. If you go to 200 yards, it's going to be double that. Without confusing things, and if you're new to this, when we start talking about math and I start talking about that with people when I'm trying to get people to understand some of this stuff, I really just like to keep it at a set 100 yards because the conversion and the math in your mind is simple to do, simple to come to grips with that first before you start messing around with other things. So what I suggest people do is if you're going to get out to the range, you're going to go out shooting, wherever you may go, take your scope, and you know you've got this thing zeroed in. You did the zeroing process, maybe someone helped you out. But go set up something at 100 yards. Set your target down there, have your scope on 0, and turn it to the 1. Take some shots. You should have a 3.6 inch change, okay? So that is with mil, okay? Now, MOA scopes, it's the same process, but your scale is different, okay? So we're going to be looking at 1 inch at 100 yards, okay? Versus the mil where we're at 3.6 onto this 1. So if you're following me there, if you take your MOA scope, I don't have one here to show you a turret on. Actually, I kind of do if I pull this AR out here. But here we go. These are really small and hard to see. But here is my MOA scope. So the MOA only has, this one is quarter MOA adjustments on here, 0.25. So it's easy to do that math when you're thinking in inches. 4 clicks equals 1 inch at 100 yards. So if with this scope, if I have it on the 0 and I put it on the 1, at 100 yards, it is going to change the point of impact by 1 inch. Okay, so with the MOA scopes, quarter MOA, so it's a 1/4 inch per click. Now going back to this one, mill stuff is a metric system, so it gets into centimeters and whatnot. So there's actually 10 clicks between each of these digits on here. But what I would want people to do, or kind of I suggest when you're new to this, is mess around in whole numbers at first and come to grips with how it's working and how the function of turning this turret is going to work. Now your windage is going to be the same way, but getting into windage adjustments is part art and part science, because wind is, it's just not static as much as your elevation in dealing with a ballistic drop. So your turret on top, that is your elevation turret. It's going to be mil or it's going to be MOA. I've got some content out there on setting up the 0 stop already. So if you want to see that, just kind of roll through my content. But I hope this helps you out. So we're working our way around this scope again, and now we are at this elevation turret. Get yourself out to the range, spin this thing around a few times, come to grips with what it's going to do, how much drop you're going to get out of that. Keep a notepad out there with, document some of this stuff, and yeah, enjoy it. We're going to talk a little bit about this windage turret next, and that gets a little bit more in depth, trying to get you effective at using the windage turret. But this one, your elevation turret, mil, MOA, you're looking at 3.6 inches change with 0 to 1 on your mil, and 1 inch change from 0 to 1 on your MOA. Well, I hope you find this content as useful as you did the other couple episodes that I put out if you're new to using this type of scope or this type of optic and these kind of tools out shooting. All right, so get yourself out there and keep on shooting.